Yes, yes, yes. Hello. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. The Jadon Sancho saga continues. It was always going to do this, by the way. This is what's happening now with the Jadon Sancho situation. Has been a dot on a card ever since Borussia Dortmund decided in the middle of the final stages of negotiation, or at least in the advanced stages of the negotiation, to go public and say that the deal is dead. They've also said in the last day or so that it is set in stone that this deal is not going to happen. Of course, tweets this morning from man like Jan, who is going to be on the channel with us next week. We just got to sort out dates and times. Is it the clear message from Dortmund is there is no chance that Sancho will leave the club. It's carved in stone. He will stay. That was tweeted out this morning at 20 to 9 in the morning. And of course, we trust Jan. Jan is not a BSer. Jan doesn't. Again, that's the message from the insiders at Dortmund. Okay. According to the reports as well, as of the 14th of August, Man United have not made an offer. That's an interesting one for me because, of course, we're in negotiations. I'm not too sure whether that isn't Jan's opinion. I think that's information that Jan has been fed. He then also goes on to say, I don't know what Man United's strategy is. Nobody will. Man United won't tell anybody that. And I know some Man United fans on here will save my tweets as if Sancho should end up at Old Trafford. But I don't see Dortmund's actions as a strategy to get 120 million. I see it as a strategy to keep the player. So Jan, as it stands right now, believes that Dortmund want to keep Jadon Sancho. Jan believes that this isn't a strategy to get more money and that he wants them to move on. That is his thoughts. That is his professional opinion, not just as a journalist, not just as somebody that is renowned out there, working in the media, a journalist, etc. This is a retired football player that understands how the system works. Now, you may have a completely different opinion to that of Jan. Mine differs. I think that there is a deal to be done here. I do. I think that Dortmund are doing what they can to get the most amount of money up front. We see a different kind of interview conducted today where they talk about, and I made a bit of a flippant sort of comedic satire tweet about it, but Dortmund talking about having no money to complete and sign any more players due to how much they've lost because of CV19. So there is an element of maybe, just maybe, they do need money or they want additional money to come in, because who knows what's going to happen with the world and our health and further lockdowns as example. So I think there's certainly some work to be done there, in my very humble opinion. There are then also reports this afternoon that Jadon Sancho has been training alone. And the problem with these kind of reports is, one, how do we know they're even true? There might be a 2-minute snippet of the team training and Sancho's not part of it, but he could have gone to the toilet. Like, Sancho could have quite literally gone to the toilet. So I think there are elements of this where I think we just need to be a little bit more relaxed. There is going to be, yesterday we had Fabrizio Romano say that this deal is not over, that this deal could still happen, that conversations are still going on. Daniel Harris has confirmed that. Multiple journalists have. You then get others who are saying, no, this is done now. This is finished. This is over. And I think that, or for the time being, it is. So I think there's an element of relaxing. My hope is that if it is over, that Man United have another plan of action, is what I would say is most important. There needs to be another plan of action. These things simply need to happen. If there isn't, that would be the panic, and that would be the worry in relation to that. But Dan Harris has actually tweeted out again. He says, hang on, what does he say here? He goes, I appear to be that bloke. Sorry, anyways. Personal terms are agreed, and the time has come. Man United need to stop posing and start paying. If they do and do it properly, Sancho will push for the move. If they don't, it won't happen. And that's an interesting train of thought. Everybody knows that I'm relaxed about this situation. But if Man United don't make the bids, if Man United don't put up and we just walk away, I will be frustrated and I will be angry. That anger, that'll be in the short term. If we then go and buy other players and we bolster our squad brilliantly this summer, then fine, I'm happy still. I'm going to be relaxed. What I don't want us to do now is go and sign some BTEC version. And I'm not going to go with BTEC, but I'm talking, we're going after a high-level degree here, and we've got an opportunity of achieving it. To walk away with just the BTEC, it's disappointing because you have the means and the ability to achieve more. It's not attacking that as a grade and qualification in case anybody gets angry. It's an equivalence, You have the opportunity. You got a choice here. You can pick between a Ferrari or a Ford Fiesta. If you choose the Ford Fiesta when you've got the means and the ability to have the Ferrari, I think that's crazy when you're trying to improve something in your life and you're trying to improve something in your football club. But Dan Harris is right. United now need to step up. Maybe we take 2 or 3 days, like we have done since Monday, to go, let's just take stock. Let's relax. But Man United certainly need to come out and do something in relation to this. There's no doubt about it. Because what we will do, and I've had to go at Arsenal in relation to this on a number of occasions, so I will keep the same energy as I always do. If we don't make that bid soon, we might change Jadon Sancho's mind about ever coming here. We may not look like a serious player. We may look like we don't actually care about the player. And that, for me, would be a terrible outcome. To have him agree in personal terms, to have a deal almost negotiated, to be, in my opinion, very close to getting things done. That's certainly how things were being reported last week. To have journalists that I talk to behind the closed doors tell me they've heard that it's finished and done. Daniel Harris saying, 60 million upfront agreed. They've just got to come to a conclusion on the payment structure after that. To be at that point and to not get him now will be highly frustrating. Absolutely frustrating in relation to that. But I am still relaxed. I am still relaxed in relation to that. And like I said, listen, and let's be very fair here to journalists. With Jan the man's tweet saying that he thinks Dortmund are trying to keep the player, not trying to up the price. If he ends up at Man United, that's just based on the information that Jan has been given. And if Jan if Jan gets spun a line by his sources, that isn't Jan's fault. For me, I'm listening to the media. I listen to the media on 95% of this. I truly felt a week and a half ago that this was imminent. It smelt imminent. We had contacts with people that make promotional videos for particular football clubs being told to get things ready. We had credible long-term journalists from decorated publications talking about upfront payments were done, personal terms are done. Those things don't happen when deals aren't relatively close to happening. But I've said this for 4 or 5 years on this platform, and football fans have got to get with the program. These things can change. These things can change at the drop of a hat. Bayern Munich commentator said Jadon Sancho is training by himself. But I've also heard that 3 Dortmund players are by themselves. I think that Hummels might be by himself, and a few others. I think Hummels and one other player, I'm not too sure who they were, are training by themselves or training individually. It may mean something. It may mean nothing. As far as I'm concerned now, what I want Man United to do is put that bid in, make it official. Do you know, at the very least, if we don't get him and Dortmund say no, at least put the damn bid in. Make it official. Put your money where your mouth is, Woodward. Get it done. And then there's no shame. Then there is no shame. Meet the asking price. Get the bid done. Make it official. Then, and maybe only then, you may see Jadon Sancho change his approach and go, hang on, though. They have officially made this bid now. They have made it direct, Like, record yourself sending the facts. Do you know what I mean? Send it to Jadon, like, bro, we've submitted it, We've submitted it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It is sad to see doubt creeping in from Terry. It's not so much doubt. It's realism. If credible, I can't stress enough that I'm a football fan. I'm not a journalist. I'm a football fan. I have seldom no connection within football. I have friends who work in the financial space that touches in the football industry. And sometimes, and only sometimes, do I get glimmers of information from them. We had the situation with Kai Havertz's sister where someone sent us a verified screenshot of direct messages. But even then, this isn't me saying I've had a conversation with somebody at Dortmund, somebody at Leverkusen, somebody at Man United. Never have claimed that. I know there are a lot of YouTubers out there that pretend to be journalists or pretended to be journalists in the past. That isn't what we do. I take my information from journalists and from stories across the ether. I then create my opinion based on the factual information that we've been given. And when I've got credible people saying the deal's close, this has been agreed, that has been agreed, personal terms are done, that gives me the belief that it's close. That gives me the belief that it can happen. When these same said journalists say, heard now it might be different, we've heard now it might have changed, Man United have walking away, Sancho's changed his mind, my opinion changes. When informed people give you new information, there's no point hanging on to confirmation bias. Oh, I'm going to seek out the information that gives me what I want as opposed to what is really going on. That for me is like the height of stupidity. Why would you ever do that? Do I think the deal's dead? Absolutely not. Do I think the deal may not happen? I've always said there's a slight chance. I'm 95, 99% sure, but there's always that slither, always that quantum of worry that this could fall through. You just got to deal with that. It's as simple as that. It is as simple and as straightforward as that. It's interesting that people say, oh, Terry, you said that it was done. No, it's a lie. I said I was told by people it was done. I said I've read that it's nearly done. I said that I think it will happen. It's an opinion. It's no different to how many of you are using the Flick app. How many of you predicted a particular score result in the previous 2 Champions League games and got it wrong? It's an opinion. That's it. So I'm very relaxed. Funny how no one's calling me out for saying 2 days ago, again, an opinion. When I said I think the Thiago deal is close, based on the fact that he's agreed personal terms with Liverpool, the fact that Klopp wants him, and the fact that Genie isn't in talks for a new deal. When David Lynch, the very informed, very reliable David Lynch, from the Evening Standard, Liverpool correspondent, said that the deal would only happen if Genie didn't sign a new deal. So based on all that information, I've created an opinion, a hypothesis that this deal sounds like it's close based on all the information I've been given. I didn't claim it was close because I'm talking to Thiago or his mum or chatting to Klopp on the side. That would be a nonsense. That'd be an in the know thing. Everything I do is based on the information that is given to us. I know my supporters know that about me. The haters don't. But we ignore the haters because they're just, what was it say about hate? It's just love and jealousy at the same time. And I can accept that. Big up Drake for that comment there. Terry, honest thoughts on Thiago to Liverpool. Wicked signing. Wicked signing. That's all I can say about it. Wicked, top quality signing. He becomes Liverpool's best midfielder instantly. It's done. It's over. Smash that like button, please. Make sure you download the app Flick for within the description below. It's really, really important. To reiterate for anyone new, Man Like Jan tweeted this morning a series of tweets, but the overarching view is Dortmund are saying it's set in stone that Jadon Sancho will stay. His belief right now is that Dortmund are not trying to drive the price up or get more money up front. They are trying to keep the player for next season. But hence the one thing that Jan has said there, trying to keep. If Man United submit an adequate bid, this deal is still alive, in my opinion. It's pretty obvious. Comment here from Indiana says, this deal is too important to United in terms of building and the commercial side for a player like Sancho. Probably the best asset available right now for a United shirt sales alone, plus the number 7. Jacob said, ignore the haters. Oh, brother, I do ignore them. The only time, listen, they can call us whatever they want. 21,000 new subscribers in the last 6.5 weeks. I'm happy with that. Some of these man don't even have friends. I'm cool. Do you know what I'm saying? Bruno Fernandes. Sky Sports have said that Sancho is ready to force a move once a United bid is made. Maybe. And again, lots of people have got opinions like that. And I don't think he'll necessarily force a move in a negative way either. But See, these are all the things you draw on. Dortmund are prepared to keep him. Maybe that's a way of them making Sancho put in a transfer request, because we hear that Sancho will make money without putting a transfer request. Maybe they want to save that 6 or 7 million. They're losing £4 million a game because of behind closed doors football. Every penny counts in this situation. It really ain't a deep one for me. It really isn't a deep one. So, Elite KJ, welcome to the show. What do you want to say, bro? Elite? Are you there, Elite? It's not the Elite KJ, so at least I know to block this guy now. This guy must make about 10 fake accounts, you know. Very weird little boy. But there we go. There's one of my haters. I never read out his comments publicly, but I love reading them. He's one of the haters that I never block because he actually gives me pure jokes. Pure jokes. He's attacking one of you rather than somebody else. I love some of these comments. Your comments are amazing. Rowan here says, I have a feeling that Bayern Munich are trying to push the deal to next summer when COVID has less of an impact, and the fact that several large clubs like Paris Saint-Germain will challenge United's bid. That could also be a strategy. Yeah, that could also be a genuine strategy that could happen. What you said makes complete and utter logical sense. Complete and utter logical sense. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. There is a comment. It says, anybody that has a valid criticism of Terry or the Football Terrace is labeled a hater. Weak argument. Well, it isn't, in the sense of people like you on every stream and in every comment section write something negative about us, no matter what type of title, no matter what type of video, no matter what opinion we have. That to me tells me you're a hater, because if you disagree with everything we do, every approach we take, every bit of content we make, but you're still here for every stream, that means you're here to hate. Because if I watch a YouTuber and I don't like their titles, I don't like their thumbnails, I don't like their opinions, I just simply don't watch them because they're not for me. But if you come there every day just to throw negativity, you're not being constructive. You know, we do what we do and we do it the way we do it. We're not going to change. I'm too strong a character to change what I do, what I like, what I believe in. But the fact that you keep coming back every day to be negative tells me you're a hater. Can't say no more than that. We've got another caller here. It's Daniel Williams, but I think it's going to be the guy shouting. What do you want to say, bro? I know, it's the real Danny. It's the real Danny. It's the real Danny. I wasn't sure if it was going to be you, bro. I wasn't sure. I was like, this guy made another fake account to come back and scream at us.
Yo, these guys are terrorizing your Skype account. Gee.
But this is another one of my arguments. The guys that do that are the same people that are negative in the comment sections all the time. And like I've said, final thing I'll say on it today, I can take criticism when it comes from people that are balanced in their There's a guy, the Liverpool fan, who DMs me, not aggression, but DMs me hate whenever I'm even slightly or mildly critical of Liverpool, and anything positive I say about my club. We could just win 5-0 and say great result, and he comes back with a negative comment. But whenever I praise Liverpool, he comes straight into me and goes, "Oh, I love you." What are you doing, bro?
Oh, sorry, bro.
You at the sink?
Yes.
I thought you were taking a piss, bro. I was like, what's the man doing? I was like, rah.
I'm trying to multitask.
Yeah. So
what's interesting? I just saw a comment that somebody quoted from Sky Sports. This is the problem with football fans. Like, language is important. So Sky Sports said there's potential Sancho could hand in a transfer request if United bid. All this shoulda, coulda, woulda. But they'll take that as, if he doesn't hand in a transfer request, Sky Sports News lied. No, they just said there's a possibility or something. It's not set in stone that if Manchester United bid, Sancho's just going to hand in a transfer request. Like, logically, it kind of makes sense that he could be like, okay, you guys are serious now. Let me sit down with Dortmund and say, look, I want to go. Let me waive my fee. Let me waive my percentage of the transfer. But like they said, potentially, they didn't confirm it as a fact. And that's the problem. All these football fans think all these things are facts. What you have is different people on both sides with agendas feeding information to different journalists. And guess what? Manchester United and Dortmund will want to burn some journalists. Make no mistake about that. So they'll be feeding some journalists wrong information, and they'll feed other journalists some accurate information. What's really, really threw this transfer up in the air is Dortmund's public stance. That's what's throwing people off.
Well, there's that element as well of, when you listen to Fabrizio, that I do trust. I do trust that he is giving us information that he knows. Somebody's told him that. I don't think Fabrizio sits at home, Fabalicious. You don't sit at home and go, right, what can I make up today? I think it comes from, it's genuine sources giving him information, and I think he deciphers it and goes, right, what am I going to go with? And I think Man United have gone a bit quiet this week because they are frustrated with the way Dortmund have done this. Because I think it's this element of, one, they weren't negotiating directly with Manchester United, which slowed things down. And then during negotiations, and most would say they were fairly advanced if you've got elements of the fees agreed, then just to say it's over the player staying without consulting United first is going to annoy people. But and there are so many reasons, and nearly everything that's been given, where we're talking about man like Jan's comments around, he thinks they're trying to keep him player training by himself. He might force a move if Man United make the bid. All of these things are woulda, coulda, shouldas. I mean, Fabrizio also said yesterday on the Stretford paddock that he wouldn't be surprised if in 2 or 3 weeks Man United completely and utterly walked away. And this is, again, that will be taken as Man United have been beaten, Man United have been weak. And it's maybe beaten, but you look at it from, say, a weak point of view. Well, I thought you said a minute ago you didn't want them just to keep chasing this if it was dead. If it is dead and Dortmund are not going to budge, United can't, even if United, and that's what the only thing I think United should do in that situation is drop the £120 million bid and make it public. And then no Man United fan can argue. Man United, because it's like, well, we gave them what they wanted, but they just weren't willing to sell. There's nothing you can do about that. If someone offered us £500 million now for Martial and Pogba, but we say no to it, is that the club who made the bid's fault? Like it isn't, but it depends what Man United fan you are. Remember, there are Man United fans at the minute that they won't ever give praise to the club for anything. It's evil here. So I just feel like everything you've said is right. Everything's a possibility right now. The deal could happen. The deal could fall through. Sancho might put a transfer request in. He might not. Man United might walk away. We may not. There's an element as well. Think about, people say saving face. If you've been disrespected, if you feel you've been disrespected by Dortmund, maybe there is an element of saying, do you know what? Well, we're not going to do the business then. We'd rather not do the business with you than have you disrespect us in public. That, for me, is not a stance I want us to take, but I would respect it as do you know what? At least you're backing yourselves. At least you're saying we're not going to be treated disrespectfully in public and then just give you what you want. Like, for me, there's a YouTuber the other day that was kicking off and crying on social media because a particular channel haven't given him a big enough opportunity on their platform, right? And I'm like, I would back that platform more now if they just say, do you know what? We're not going to use you at all because you're chatting nonsense publicly. See you later. I prefer that stance to, oh, hang on, let's bend over backwards now and give him what he wants because he's crying like a baby in public. I just feel, because I feel like right now with Dortmund, there's an element of they're a screaming baby in the corner of the room, stamping their feet. And Man United are that kind of parent that's just been listening to Super Nanny and they're just going to go, I'm going to sit here in silence and just wait for you to calm down. That's how I feel our approach is. And I'm kind of happy about that in a way.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. Look, if we make that bid, we say, look, we're going to guarantee you, no add-ons, but we'll guarantee you 120 million euros, but let's have serious conversations about the structure of that, right? If in the end, that's what comes out, we've made that actual offer, which is reasonable, and they've said, no, you've missed the deadline, etc., etc. At that point, Dortmund have been taking the absolute piss. And if you're a Man United fan, you need to back the football club. And that's what's sort of frustrating me, is you can tell that there are basically these fans who, if we don't get Sancho, the circumstances and the details as to why we didn't get him are irrelevant. We didn't get him. It's Woodward failing again, and it's the football club not showing ambition. Even though, for months, everybody was told COVID-19 is going to affect the way teams operate, that rule doesn't apply to Manchester United and Ed Woodward because we need to get back to the top no matter what. And I'm a big crybaby, and I just want Man United to be winning trophies again so I don't have to be bantered by Arsenal fans. That's really all it is.
Yeah, of course.
Those guys are just emotional. This is the way I look at it. If we make that bid, and they say no, I'm going to back Woodward and say, you know what? Dortmund are taking the piss. They made us go through agents, right? Didn't communicate specific things to us directly. and then play the public game at the same time to try and embarrass us, knowing our fan base and people in the English media will always throw Man United and Ed Woodward under the bus in a situation like this. There's no scenario where United can go for a player, not get him, and it's reasonable why we didn't get him. It's always negative, and it's always a negative spin.
The Haaland deal is a prime example. You know, we said, and they've tried to do it with Chelsea and Willian here in the same way. We said no to what Haaland wanted, but it was twisted into Haaland rejected us. And I suppose you could twist it that way if you bend and twist and squint an eye. Yeah, but it's the same as Willian. Willian wanted a 3-year deal. Chelsea said no, there's a 2-year deal. Willian said, well, I don't want a 2-year deal. Arsenal fans are looking at that as a Chelsea rejection. It's like, well, no, Chelsea didn't offer the player what he wanted. It's the other way around.
Even if it was, so what? You got to play.
Yeah, like, I agree with you. I agree.
Do you know what I love? You've probably made this point already. I'm sure you have, but I'm just going to say it again. What I respect about Liverpool fans is they told the party line, right? We know that boy from Norwich was their number one target. They briefed the Liverpool media saying, no, this guy that we've signed from Olympiacos was the number one target. And Liverpool fans get on board with the propaganda. Man United fans don't behave that way. And that's just what I can't stand about United fans. It's just, it's frustrating. But look, if the deal gets done, great. If it doesn't, then we just need to look at what the plan B is. Yeah, because the reality is for me, there is no acceptable alternative to Jade. There's no like for like to Jadon Sancho.
No, I agree with you, mate.
For me, doesn't cut it. Well, Dembele's a risk. Any other signing in that position would be a stopgap. And Ollie's already shown he doesn't do stopgaps in that position. So if we don't get Sancho, but we get a primary, like a strong left back, somebody to start alongside Pogba instead of Matic and a centre back instead, then that's a good transfer window. No, I'm going to get your response offline because I'm cooking dinner.
All right, brother. You take care, mate. All right, mate. Speak to you soon, mate. Take care.
Good work, man. Don't listen to these haters.
I never do, bro. I never do, bro. Thank you, Danny. Cheers, bro. Listen, I agree with what he said. And you look at the deadline thing. Some people say, United disrespected the deadline. Well, according to Fabrizio and many other credible journalists, there was no real deadline. Equally, Man United were frustrated from Man United tried to get this deal done, but Dortmund wouldn't even do Man United the respect of talking to us directly. They sent in an intermediary. And Man United was saying, can we just talk to you? No. So United have done what they can to get this deal done. Dortmund are the ones that have put the stumbling blocks in place. So, and if it's true what Jan has said, this isn't to try and get more money. It's simply Dortmund don't want to sell the player. There's little Man United can do. I feel that people will search for confirmation bias rather than the truth. And I feel so far Man United have done everything in their power to get the deal done. But if Dortmund are not even willing to sit in a room or sit on a conference call with Man United, there's very little that can be done, as far as I'm concerned. However, what I would do is submit the bid and say, we're prepared to pay you 120 million euros with no add-ons. It will just be a lump sum and installments. Let's sit down and talk. I would let Jadon Sancho and his representative know that you've done this. I would prove to them in one way, shape, or form, show them physical evidence that you have done this, in the hope that it pushes them to say, actually, we really do want this move. Let's go. And if that doesn't work, if that doesn't happen and can't happen for any particular reason, you move on and you invest that money elsewhere, and we still go out and have a good transfer window. I'm not too worried, like Danny said, about the people that are going to have hissy fits and cry and bitch and boohoo and moan, because you have to move on. They won't want to because they always want to be negative because they like twerking for rival fans. That's all it comes down to. It's as simple as that for me. A couple of super chats here. It says Man United are looking more mature in the situation. However, I'm more prouder of Sancho for not throwing his toys out of his pram. I agree. I think Man United and Sancho have handled this situation very well. We know Sancho wants Man United. For what other reason would he have conceivably agreed personal terms had he not wanted to have come? Gotti here says, if Hudson-Odoi doesn't do well next season and Sancho stays at Bayern, can you see CFC replacing Odoi and going in for Sancho? Not if Pulisic and Ziyech are killing it. I can't personally. And Havertz, I can't see that. I don't even see what the logical point of it would be. Terry, do you think there will be any consequence from our fan base as a result of not signing Sancho, i.e. not attending games? No, because the people that are crying about it that go to games will never not go to games. It's almost they're almost their own. They like being martyrs. You see, if you're really unhappy with the football club the way it's being run, put your money where your mouth is and stop investing money in it. But they won't, because they just want to twerk for rivals, man. It's as simple as that for me. Comment here said he's their player. They have it. They're in their rights to play this how they want. Absolutely, they're in their rights to do what they want. But that doesn't make Man United accountable for not getting him as a signing. I think you're conflating two completely different points that are not relevant to each other. Man United can only do so much because he's not their player. If Dortmund don't want to sit down and talk to us, if Dortmund don't want to listen to any offers, if Dortmund only will accept a mammoth offer well above the valuation of the player, then there's nothing that Man United can do. Nothing that Man United can do. Thus, it isn't a negative spin for United, not a negative outcome for Man United, aside from not signing the player. But in terms of there's only so much we can do, there's only so much effort you can put in. Sometimes in life, you're just not in control of these things. We know rivals aren't going to have that. Rivals are going to be straight on, I didn't get him. But it's about Man United fans being strong. It's about Man United fans backing their club. And until they start doing that with more regularity, as a football club, we won't become as successful as we need to. People just love being negative. It's as simple as that. Thank you, Anis, for the donation. Really appreciate that. Comment from David here says, spend big on a centre-back, Upamecano, get Grealish, and maybe another midfielder. Well, the Grealish one's interesting because he's not a primary target of Man United. Maybe he's a secondary target if we don't land Jadon Sancho. And if we brought in Grealish, Thomas Partey, and Upamecano as an example, I don't think anyone will get Upamecano this year now because of his new deal. But if we did and Sancho weren't coming in, I'm buzzing. Truly buzzing. It's not a bad summer. It's not a bad transfer window. No doubt about it. Listen, for everyone who's tuned in, actually, we've got Cameron Lowe coming on now to have a chat. We'll definitely have a chat with Cameron, one of our members. Bro, what do you want to say?
I wanted to talk about how ridiculous some of our fans are.
Go for it.
I'm on Twitter today, but realistically, if you think about it, all these fans complaining about us needing to get the deal done quick. Get the deal done. If I'm Dortmund and I'm looking at that, I'm just saying, cool. Look, your fans are even putting pressure on you to spend the money. We're not hoping the case of
yeah.
Even your fans are saying just pay the money. So we're putting pressure on our own guys and hoping Dortmund, realistically, for them that'd be a great negotiation tactic, in my opinion. So how do you feel like that? That's how I see it right now. We're not hoping our own case.
Mate, I couldn't agree with you more. It's this element of, I keep saying this to Man United fans, we let too much out the bag all the time. It's keep your powder dry. You being negative, United fans have that. I'm really scared that we're spending all our time on the Sancho deal and nobody else. What do the tabloid press go and do? They print stories saying United are putting all their eggs into one basket and going for Sancho. It's you man made that story happen by saying that's your fear. You see it all the time. As soon as a fan base says we want a certain new player, we're not happy with this guy, you get linked with a new version. And it's crazy how the media write stories based exactly on what you're saying on social media, and then you cry. They literally throw fuel over your fire every day, and you realize that if you just kept your mouth shut a little bit, that none of these stories would appear. It's crazy. It's if a fan of a particular club come out and said, I think my manager's weak, watch the media write stories about how weak your manager is within a week or so, just to push that notion further. It makes sense.
Generates sense. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think you saw the report about next year, Barcelona and Real Madrid will be in for the team. I think that came from an English media source. When I was looking through it, it was they were just speculating that if they don't sell this year, then next year Real and Barca will come in for him. I'm like, did Real and Barca send out a note saying we're in for Sancho next year? You know what I mean? It's those writing that story, all it does again is put more fuel on the fire. And
yes,
I'm trying to
exactly. And that story comes from Man United fans saying these words to this effect. I'm scared that if we don't get him this summer because we've got a free run, Barca or Real Madrid will come in for him next year. Next day, the media say Barca and Real Madrid are coming in from next year. And then those fans go, oh my God, I told you. They don't read. This is how I know people don't read stories either. The amount of comments we get on shows. So the show we did yesterday with Rants, where we said the deal is off. I think we said, confirm that it's off. And I put bullshit emojis afterwards. People didn't watch the show or even read the title properly. They said, but yesterday, Terry, you had a journalist on saying it was back on. It's like, listen to our opinions as opposed to the headline. The headline is what gets you in, then read it. But that's the general public. So you literally, if you get angry about your club publicly and it gets enough traction, the media are going to write stories to confirm your bias and make you even angrier because they know what you're going to do. You're going to click on that article. You're going to share that article. And then they make the money. It makes me laugh how people continue to fall for this. And that's why Liverpool fans, I give them credit. They have their clubs back. It's almost like even if you can't pull the wool over their eyes. They can literally, if Liverpool was a football club, declared tomorrow that the world was flat, every Liverpool fan around the world would say, absolutely right, it's flat, definitely flat. They would all just back their club. They would sit there and do it.
Like, they handled the Werner business perfectly. Liverpool fans were like, okay, cool, on to the next. Like, nobody was stressing, they weren't going at their board. They weren't going at their coach. They're just like, okay, we didn't get Werner. We'll get somebody else next year or something. And that's like the mentality we should have, is that if we don't get Sancho, it's not the end of the world. Like, yes, of course I want him. I'm not going to come on here and pretend that I don't. But if we don't get him, I'm not going to then be like, well, now Ollie's screwed and go into the year thinking we're so done, and negative thinking that because we didn't get one player, all of a sudden everything's put on a halt and we're not going to progress. Because that doesn't help us either. It's like, you got to look at it from a perspective as through the years, transfers get missed by every team. Like, Barcelona wanted Lautaro Martinez, probably not happening this summer. Real Madrid wanted Paul Pogba. He stayed. So it's like every club has to deal with going after players that they don't end up getting. That's how you push on and how you actually then figure out the new strategy. That's when I'll get critical. If we don't get Sancho and we do absolutely nothing, okay, then you'll hear me say
and that's my point. I'll be disappointed if we walk away because I wanted him. But then, as you say, if we then don't go and have a good summer, irrespective, in the transfer market, then I will be angry because it was a great time for us to utilize and to capitalize. And we haven't gone and done it. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that point. But I just got sent a DM actually by a journalist who said that he's had it confirmed that Sancho didn't train today, but he's not injured. So again, or he didn't train fully today, trained by himself very lightly, and there's no injury. So again, I always say this to people, take from that what you will. And this is the point. Some people could spin that right now into he's trained by himself. United are going to bid for him over the weekend. This is happening. You could turn it into that story. It equally could just be the sports scientist has said to Dortmund, there is no injury, but he's running on like red for whatever reason, and he needs a light session just by himself. That it could literally be that. He could have, he might not be injured, but he might have had you might not know this expression, but he might have had the 2 Bob bits today. Do you know what I mean? For anyone that diarrhea, you know what I mean? He might have had something where he can train a little bit, but he just can't be. It could. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's like that bit of information by itself is fine, but don't go too far with it. It doesn't mean he's joining Man United tomorrow. Interestingly, like we could all, just before the game kicks off tonight, there could be an announcement, a deal's been reached, and it'd be like, that's why he trained apart. Like, and it would make sense. But people have just got like when Willian didn't start for Chelsea, we all thought, he's getting Arsenal now. But we didn't quite. If it had been announced that he was joining somebody else, we'd be like, that wasn't why he was on the bench then. But sometimes these things happen and they come to fruition. Other times they do, they don't. And I just think fans have got to relax. There is still 6-7 weeks of the transfer window open. I don't think personally this deal is dead. Just buckle yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. Just buckle yourselves in.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous that we're held to this weird standard. It's crazy how fans aren't just paying attention. Chelsea makes all these signings and no one does their research, and they're just like, oh my God, they got 3 signings done. One guy said on Twitter today, they got 3 signings over the line and we can't get one for 200 million. I'm like, who's the third? Because last I checked, Havertz is still being negotiated. And that's been going on for just as long as Sancho. Yet they get a pass because Werner had a release clause and Liverpool pulled out. And then Ziyech was a failed. Nobody does their research. It's just insane how fans.
Look at the exactly. And look at the other side of that. Like Liverpool, the most potent and powerful club in the world right now, especially from the Premier League, especially, got money. They're in for a deal that's 30 odd million euros. So almost, well, quite literally one quarter of the size of Man United's deal. And that's been going on for weeks. I looked at it the other day. Our first video we did when the news first broke they could be in for him was about 6 weeks ago. So for 6 weeks, that deal's been floating around. And it's a minuscule deal. The player wants to leave. He's agreed personal terms. And that isn't done yet. And only because Liverpool signed a backup left back, people are buzzing. I'm like, well, it's crazy. It's nobody. There has been not one outside of Werner that was a buyout clause. There hasn't been a significant signing yet in world football. But yet, Man United are the bad guys because we haven't done it. It's an absolute catastrophic clusterfuck abomination of an opinion.
Yep, it's insane. Yeah, man. So that's all I really want to say because I can see the frustration. Like it's just frustrating for everybody involved who's like thinking and paying attention. And I do see the fans coming on being like, but Terry, you said, and it's like, okay, maybe if you just watch the video and realize that the whole point of your shows are to talk about these things, then you wouldn't be triggered by the thumbnail. Because I used to be like, oh, Terry, because I'll be completely honest, I used to be like, oh, Terry's announcing it. Then I realized I'm like, oh, what Terry's doing is helping amalgamate the news out there for me because I used to go searching for it. Instead of me having to go search for the news, I just hop on, watch you, and then we talk.
That's the point. That's the whole point of it. There's 4 or 5 stories going around. The main headline is this. Let's talk about it. Everybody gets an opinion. Everybody gets a comment. I give opinions, and trust me, don't take my opinion as read. I'm not sitting in the negotiation room. That was crazy once. I remember getting a phone call once because a player was about to join Man United, and I was the liaison between the bank that did all the banking and the players. I got a call tomorrow. Be at this point, or actually it was 2 days time. Be here. Players coming in. Be ready. Want to sign up for accounts. Him and his wife and blah 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 blah. Cool. Literally, the day later, it was about 7 at night. Got a call from the player liaison officer. Yeah, deal's off. Don't come. So let's just say that I at that point I was feeding information into the media. It would have made that journalist, if I'd have fed that into a journalist, the journalist would have run with it. That deal's done, going to be complete in 2 days, and then it got called off. That journalist would look like a liar, but he isn't. That journalist was just given something. Do you get where I'm coming from? I'm not even saying that. I'm literally saying I've listened to I've read 3 different media reports, and this is my opinion based on it. If you're taking my word as the gospel truth, you're off your nut. You're off your nut. I'm a football fan like all of you, giving an opinion. You know, we have created a digital chat room for football fans to come and talk in. There isn't a YouTube channel out there that's credible in that way. Unless you're like a Football Daily that's owned by Sky, you know, unless you're like the Beautiful Game podcast, which has excellent connections into the Athletic, they're not the stereotypical standard football fan channel. They're not. Like they're different. They're kind of corporately backed in that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a different message. Our message is simple. We're fans discussing and talking football, giving opinions on it. If that isn't what you want, go watch Sky Sports, go listen to Talk Sport. That's what they're there for. We're not them. Because, by the way, they don't give you a platform, do they? They let you watch. They don't let you contribute. That's why we're different. So, listen, Cam, I appreciate you coming on, bro. Speak to you soon, mate.
One more thing before I go.
Yeah, mate.
Everybody should be on that Flick app because it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. I had a pretty good conversation with Lord Zola about the Frank Lampard thing in there. It was real. What's the word I'm looking for? It was positive. Like we didn't go at each other in a negative way. So I'm going to tell everybody who's listening, the Flick app's a lot of fun if you want to actually have some conversation when we're not watching you talk about it.
There we go. Yes. Get that Flick app downloaded, available for free in the description below. Cam, speak to you later, bro. Thank you, mate. Top man. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, you know how much we appreciate it. Make sure you're hitting that like and share button, downloading Flick, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.